the impact of a Buhari win.
I'm Yvonne Katsande in Abuja, Nigeria. We decided to follow the country's story, especially after the just ended elections. The transition between President Goodluck Jonathan's administration into the hands of President Buhari. We wanted to know what is the impact of a Buhari win economically and security-wise. The insurgents of the Boko Haram that has terrorized the country in different parts, but especially in the northern part of Nigeria. Join us as we explore the story. Describe the political terrain of Nigeria.
Well, you see, what I know is that there is a lot of gap between politicians and the masses. As I told you, I was a school principal earning 28,000. But when I was elected, we were camped in a hotel before our inauguration. The 3 days I spent in the hotel and we were inaugurated, then we were asked to go home and come back later. I can't imagine. When I asked for my bill, the hotel bill, where I stayed for only 3 days, I was given a bill, already, although paid by government, 141,000 Naira. In my life, I can't, I find it very difficult to comprehend. With all my responsibility as a school principal, earning 28,000, then in 2003, because I was elected a member of the National Assembly, 141,000 Naira was spent on me for just 3 days. Imagine how many months' salary that could be. So that's how it started for me. I was wondering, what kind of gap is this? So, you see, the problem is people elected to go and have political positions. Hardly, after some time, hardly will they be able to really have or to know the reality of things at their localities because of this sudden change. And because people, and it is like that, it is assumed that immediately you go into politics, you are rich already one day. So people, if you go home to visit your people, to visit your constituency, people will come in hundreds and thousands to come and greet you. And they are not there to greet you. They are there so that you should be able to give them something out of what you got from the office, the money you are getting from whatever office you are. So what I'm trying to tell you is this. There is a huge gap between masses in Nigeria and people having or occupying elective positions. And this gap will continue. Maybe after 1, 2, 3 visits, and people, as I said, will be coming to collect whatever they get, then you may not want to come every week or every 2 weeks. You'll be running away from your people, and that running away will make a big difference between what you are there for and what your people, the reality of your people. You will never be able to come close to them again and discuss the issue. Or there is a big difference between what a Nigerian politician is supposed to do and how he relates with his constituents because of these variables, because of these problems. So therefore, you will see that even if when you are elected, probably you have the knowledge of your problems and the problems of the society where you are. By the time you are there 6 months, 1 year, you will hardly know exactly what is happening because on the ground. Because when you visit your house, when you visit your home or your town or your village, there are only the people that will only come to you are the selected few who have the privilege of coming to see you. And when they are coming to see you, the reality is they will hardly come and tell you their problems. They will hardly tell you the situation. They will only come to tell you their problems, their individual problems, and how you can solve it for them. And this mostly is monetary. So I think that's why there's a lot of problem. That's why the trend, actually, I don't think...
A huge gap between the poor and the rich.
There is a huge gap. And the essence of representation is real. Because you can hardly be able to go back to the root and discuss with your people on what you think or what they think you should do for them. Or you can hardly be able to go around to see the exact happenings in your area. It's just what the few people who have interest in getting something from you, they will come and tell you. And mostly they will tell you what they want or what you want to hear, because they wouldn't want to do something that will upset you. And that, because if you are upset, maybe you will not give them anything.
All right, so can you just tell us about the transition from, that is the former ruling administration by President Goodluck Jonathan, and right now we have the PDP that is currently ruling, President Buhari. What will be your comment and comparison between the two?
Well, I don't really see it. First, my view on this transition from Jonathan to Buhari, despite all the problems of our democracy, I think that singular transition, I think is something we should be happy about it. And it is a sign that at least we are growing, because, you know, it is moving from the ruling party to the opposition, which nobody thought it could happen maybe in 40 years. Because even the PDP then was saying it will be ruling this country for 60 years. So it's a very good development that it can happen.
Would you say that perhaps President Buhari is the military solution to a military problem that we have seen Nigeria facing, especially particularly with Boko Haram insurgency?
I think one major issue, one major difference between the last administration and this administration is that previously, during the last administration, people really don't care. People do what they want. People don't fear authority. And everyone who is in a position will think he can do what he wants and go free. And now, during this administration, even the closest people to the president will always think twice before they do something. Because corruption related, whatever. You have to be very, very careful in what you do. You know, you cannot just do what you want and go free. And I think it's a major thing. Any country that lives, and any country where people think they can just do what they want, not considering the consequence, I think is a major problem and is heading to destruction. So, and before, you can see some element of corruption in whatever you do. But now, at least for now, people, even the driver on the road, will think twice before he involves himself into any corrupt tendency. So that is another major difference between last administration and this administration. And I don't see it the way you are seeing it. Because before, if you are not in the ruling party, you will fear, and you always think of what to do or what not to do, because you know that if you do the wrong thing, the government will always maybe have you and molest you and so on and so forth. This man, despite the fact that he's a military, even the opposition have freedom to talk. You can see that anybody can talk, anybody can view his can say his opinion, and so on and so forth. So though he's a military, this time around he's not behaving like a military. I think there is freedom in this country now, both the opposition and ruling party, and both the masses. In fact, the masses even now has more say than people at the top, because people at the top always think they have something, maybe some skeleton in their cupboard, and therefore they don't feel free like the masses are feeling free. So
just talk and express themselves.
Yes, masses can express themselves, and then can even challenge even people at the authority. Why did you do this? Which is not possible in the last administration. So I don't see it like coming with maybe having a military solution or whatever.
Okay.
Yes.
Although terrorist attacks were on the increase in 85 countries in 2012, just 3 countries, namely Pakistan, Iraq and Afghanistan, suffered more than half of year's attacks and fatalities. Now, the next 5 frequently targeted countries were India, Nigeria, Somalia, Yemen and Thailand. What are your comments on the issue of Boko Haram and the security of the country at large, and how the government has actually done, or what they have done, to help curb the Boko Haram insurgency?
You see, I'm sure you must have heard from many people that this Boko Haram of a thing, although they hide under the guise of Islam to do what they are doing, but many Muslims are of the opinion that they are not doing according to Islamic teachings. And if you look at the history of northern Nigeria, or Nigeria, here, Sokoto, for instance, we call it the Caliphate. And this Sokoto is the last empire, Islamic empire, to be conquered by the British in 1903. And
the last empire in the whole of Nigeria?
In the whole of Nigeria, to be conquered by the British in 1903. And that is the Sultanate. And this Sultanate was founded by Usman Dan Fodio. And Usman Dan Fodio was a reformer. There was Islam in Nigeria. There was Islam in the north. But before the coming of Usman Dan Fodio, some practice, un-Islamic practice, started coming into Islam. And therefore, when Usman Dan Fodio came, he tried to reform and bring up the true teaching of Islam. And it is clear that in the true teaching of Islam, nobody has a right to kill anybody. You cannot kill a Muslim brother.
Is this what we find in the Quran?
Of course, yes.
Okay.
You can't. You have no right to kill somebody. In fact, therefore, you can see that here, mostly, if you have time, you go around, you will see that although we are all north, from Sokoto to Borno, are all northern Nigeria, but you see that the way we do things differs. Here we are like brothers and sisters, and where we love everyone. Everybody here is free to come and do his, to mingle and do his things. Whether you are a Muslim or you are a Christian, whether you are from the south, from the east, even if you are not a Nigerian, you can come and do your business here without any molestation, because that is the teaching. The teaching of Islam always emphasize that you as a person, if you're a true Muslim, you should try and do some things so that somebody will see what you do and appreciate the good things in you and then embrace the religion. Or you preach to him if you want him to come back, not to force him. There is no force in Islam. You cannot force anybody to become a Muslim. So what I'm trying to tell you is that at Borno, there are many reasons why that brought up Boko Haram. And
can one of the reasons be that it is politically motivated?
I think one of them is because we learned, politics. If you want to be in power, sometimes you may not know, you may doing some things to your advantage at that time, and later it may be to your disadvantage. The same thing happened in the south, using of like in the south, where people use torture to be into power, but later the same people will work against you. I think that is one of the reasons.
Okay, I'm going to ask you about a story that obviously left the world wondering what could have possibly happened. That is the missing Chibok girls.
Yes.
More than 200 girls went missing from a school, and it is alleged that Boko Haram abducted them.
Yes.
My question though is it actually possible that 200 or more than 200 girls could have been moved or transported from the school in Chibok to wherever Boko Haram was holding them without any military or any security people noticing some sort of movement?
You see, it is not noticing. It's not, anybody can notice anything. The point is taking action. Before now, military and many Nigerians don't care. You can see so many things happening and you don't care. And so it is not a matter of whether they have been noticed. I believe many people must have noticed it, but they didn't care to pass information. And I think that has been the problem that have been hampering this Boko Haram operation. People not willing to give security agent information, and also security agents not willing to do what they are supposed to do. I think you don't forget how hundreds of military officers were dismissed from the army for not going to the war front. And this must have been because of so many reasons, either because there was no motivation or there was no good leadership and so on and so forth. I believe it was not, they must have been seen, they must have been noticed. If you remember, we were told that they went into the school, they went with some trucks, and then they took them on their way. Some about 50 girls were able to escape. So from where do they escape? So it's not a matter of noticing, it is a matter of taking action. If you see things, you don't take action, it follows. That time, has it been that administration took action, immediate action? Probably they could not even run with the Chibok girls. But how many days before it took even to convince the last administration?
And now we're even talking about years.
Yes.
Some of them have not even come back at all.
Yes. And we are still hearing that they are still around, which to me, actually, I will doubt if they are still around. If there are 200, I doubt if 100 of them are still intact.
But then that also brings us to the question that were there actually any girls that were abducted in the first place? Or this was just perhaps a way of trying to destabilize former administration because we're towards elections?
No, I don't think. I think, it is what is happening all over the world. These people want attention. They want a situation where what they want to have negotiation power. I think they wanted to have those girls so that the whole world will know what is happening in Nigeria. And probably if they want to negotiate, at least they have something to go negotiate. Because up to date, they are still saying that the girls are there, and if government is willing to go negotiate, they will negotiate with them. So I think that's, to me, that is my opinion of what has happened. They want attention, and they have succeeded. I think it was only when those Chibok girls that were taken that the whole world attention came to Nigeria and northern Nigeria, and then so many people now started talking and having concern on what is really happening. I think they have succeeded.
Michael Mary is the former Director General of the National Orientation Services in Nigeria, recently sacked by the new Buhari administration. He shared his thoughts on the country's economy and security issues after more than a decade of being in service. Mr. Omeri, we have seen a change of regimes with regards to President Buhari winning the elections just recently. Can we say that democracy won?
Yes, of course. Democracy did win because it's a remarkable milestone in the fact that we transited from one government, one political party to another. It's the first time in 16 years, and it's the first time in the story of Nigeria. We've had, recalling the story of Nigeria, you know that the few attempts at military were disrupted by, the few attempts at democracy, were disrupted by military interventions. So this is the first time that we are transiting from civil to civil, and a party from one different party to another different party. And it was peaceful, remarkable turnout, especially for the presidential election. Lots of interest in Africa and across the world. And against all odds and expectations, it turned out to be an example to the rest of Africa, especially or particularly those countries that find it difficult to even organize a simple election to seek a second term.
Okay, so what difference does General Buhari make for the economy?
Well, at the moment, lots of things are revving up. But particularly, what is interesting is that he has come to make sure that there is additional integrity in the processes of doing government business. Since part one of the major thrust of the administration is to fight corruption and those blockages that have slowed down the interest of entrepreneurs into Nigeria. Because quite a lot of people think, because of the perception that has been created, that you cannot do business with Nigeria, you cannot do business in Nigeria easily. There is so much corruption. Now the fact that there is a posture, that the man who has come there is not just having integrity as part of his credentials, he's walking the talk. And again, there are other aspects aimed at strengthening the currency, ensuring that leakages, even within government economic, cycles, are giving the critical eye to ensure that leakages are not there. And if you see that the government system is properly insulated, then it will encourage some other persons to put in their resources, not necessarily outsiders, but even Nigerians who may have the money and want to put their money in the businesses that will, create jobs, expand the economy, and ensure the flow of capital.
So far, Buhari seems to have focused on fighting Boko Haram, giving newly appointed security chiefs a December deadline to end the insurgency.
We're working hard towards achieving Mr. President's deadline. And just as I said, the deadline is very significant, it's very important. However, the overriding factor there is the defeat of the Boko Haram terrorists.
Cleaning up the corrupt oil and the gas sector by appointing a new head of the state oil company, that is the NNPC, and rebuilding Nigeria's image with strategic diplomatic visits.
Today, the crude term bid has been opened by the NNPC on TV publicly, and you could see investors all over the place in the hall where the business is being transacted. It's never been like that before. So these are the kind of things that will give confidence to the investor. Now, it's done in the open with the full glare of the media and the public. So it means that if you apply to do business, the procurement process will be open, transparent, and open to everyone.
The impact of a Buhari win.